Well, I have a really special guest on the show today. Well, I say special, we'll see. Who is here to share his journey. Now, I had a lot of requests for this, and I'm just excited that when I mentioned it to him, he was okay, sure. So, welcome to the show today, Brad.
Thank you.
So, we kind of started with this little bit of a direction of where we want to take this. And I think that it's just really important to start with your beginning part of the journey and what Olympic lifting is. Can we start there?
Sure. So I was a CrossFit athlete for about 13 years. And out of those 13 years, I was competitive for 7 to 8 years, I guess, 8 years, where I would go to comps and local comps and then provincial comps and bigger comps and online comps. And there's a lot of prep work and a lot of work on my own, a lot of work with my community at the CrossFit box. And it wears you down, to say the least, especially as a master's athlete. And I had hit a point in CrossFit where I just couldn't get myself into that competitive mode. I couldn't get myself into that dark place. The pain cave is what we used to call it, to be competitive anymore. So I needed a break, and I thought, well, let's focus on something that I really enjoy doing, and that's lifting heavy things. So I looked at Olympic lifting as an option.
Okay. What is Olympic lifting for people who don't know?
So Olympic lifting consists of two lifts: the snatch, which takes the barbell from the ground directly overhead, and then the clean and jerk, which takes the barbell from the ground to your shoulders and then shoulder to overhead. So those are the two primary lifts that we focus on in Olympic weightlifting.
And so when you started, and actually, I can't remember what year that was that you moved over, 2023? Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah, 2023. And so when you first decided to start it, and I remember, I think it was Eric, right, who had suggested it a couple of times. Yeah.
Eric Watch had been bugging me for years to do Olympic lifting, but I never wanted to wear the onesie because you have to wear a singlet to compete. And I never figured I'd look any good in a singlet. So I always pushed it away.
Oh, so it was because the singlet, you never tried it before that. Okay. So when you finally decided to try it, what was that first experience like? Like you joined some classes, right? And you were looking at joining a team?
So I was invited to go to a training session with Eric's team called Power Academy. Dave Earl's the coach. And so they let me go in and try a session, and he worked me through the workout and put me through a bunch of different lifts and tests and drills and stuff. And I liked it. It was fun. Lifting is always fun. And then at the end of the night, Dave pulled me aside and says, "So I'd like you to join my team." I asked him, "So what does that mean?" He says, "Well, you can do 1, 2, or 3 classes a week. You have access to all the online programming. And if you're doing things at home or away from the class, you can videotape it and I'll give you an assessment of your lifts. And then you can do some competitions." I said, "Competitions?" I just assumed that there'd be a lot of really big lifters because it's always very competitive in CrossFit. But I asked him, I said, "So how do you think I would do in competitions?" He goes, "Well, I think you would win." So I said, "Okay." And I haven't looked back since.
I love that he saw that. And I still remember you coming home that first night and saying, like, he thinks that I could do really well with it. And I think that's been such a neat thing from the beginning, is that you didn't always see like how strong you were in some of these things. I don't think you fully saw it. And so then we went to that first competition, right? And yeah. What was that like?
6 weeks after I started with the team. So it was very quick. And it was just an open competition in St. Thomas, and went in with no expectations. And it's a really weird environment. Olympic lifting is completely different than CrossFit. CrossFit is loud and the music's going and everybody's cheering you on and everybody's going at the same time. A lot of excitement. There's a lot of activity. It's go, 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 go. Your heart rate's just pounding out of your chest. And 3, 2, 1, go, and you just go. Olympic weightlifting is very, very different. It's just you and the barbell on a stage, bright lights shining down at you. You got 3 judges up there judging your lift, and there's dead quiet. There's no music, there's no noise, there's nobody cheering you on. You might get the odd holler, but for the most part, it's really, really quiet. And you're trying to calm yourself down to hit the lift.
And
Completely different.
I remember the first time I saw one of the comps, it was so strange to be in that, like to watch it as an observer. And so I'm curious, like you said there, you had to quiet your mind down. What were some of the things you had to learn pretty quickly to do in a Olympic lifting comp versus a CrossFit comp?
I think the first competition, there's a lot going on behind the scenes in a competition, an Olympic lifting competition. Your coaches are always messing around with the clock. They're playing you off against other people. There's big delays. You end up sitting a lot. It's very slow. So at my first competition, I'm just trying to figure everything out and trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm pacing because I'm ready to go. And he's changing the weights and he's changing the clocks, and I'm paying too much attention to that. So I think the big thing that's from now until since then is I don't pay attention to what the coach is doing. Let him worry about the clock and the weights, and all I got to do is execute the lift. Just pick up the barbell and go. So.
And because when you're in a comp like this, I just want to set this up for people who don't know what this is like. You are completing 6 lifts, 3 of the clean and jerk and 3 of the snatch.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what's it like to, like, even if you're looking at your journey now, that when you miss a lift, like, how do you pull yourself out and just to pull yourself back for the next lift? Like, how do you do that?
Well, so that's the first thing I tell myself. There's nothing I can do about it. It's done. It's gone. I can't go back and fix it. So you just prep for the next one. And if you were close to hitting that lift, you can either stay at that weight or you can go up. So if you're feeling good, you can go up and really focus on the technique and try to get yourself dialed back in and focused. Some days it's easier than others. Some days you're trying to overcorrect. Some days you're frustrated. But you've got to accept the fact that this is competition day and trying to stay focused on what you have to do in the job at hand.
Okay. So now we've set it up so people understand what the sport is and what that journey was like. Where was the first time that you had a fairly big win that you went, this actually is like, A, I love doing it, and B, I'm actually good at it?
Well, first year I did the Open and I won that one. And then I did provincials and I won that one. I think I even won lifter of the day, like male lifter for provincials.
First time. Yeah.
First time. And then I won nationals in the same year, my very first year. So that's where I kind of thought, all right, we can do something with this. But it's an interesting sport. As long as weightlifting's been around, it's not overly popular. You don't get a lot of people competing, especially at the masters age groups, because it's set up, you're divided by your age and your weight. So you a lot of times you're competing against 2, 3, 4, maybe even just yourself in an event. So for the most part, it was just me competing against myself. And there was really nobody trying to beat me. So I had to make sure I had to hit my lifts. But I think my first really big comp where I knew I had settled in and I was hitting big gains and feeling really good and feeling really confident about where I was going was in 2024 at the Nationals in Quebec, where I had numbers that I wanted to hit. And I was going after Canadian records. I had already set them for myself, but I wanted to beat them. So I'm beating my own national records, which is always pretty cool. But I had big numbers I wanted to hit. And I was confident going in there, not cocky, but I was really confident that I was going to hit the numbers. And I hit my 110 snatch, which felt really good. And I had to settle myself down because the adrenaline was pumping pretty hard. And I ended up missing my first clean and jerk, which is not normal for me. But I ended up beating my record. I hit a 136 clean and jerk. I had other Canadian athletes supporting me, other Canadian coaches supporting me, which was pretty cool. And more and more people were knowing who I was, which was pretty cool too. So.
Yeah, that was a fun one to watch because you were so calm going into it. Like you felt like just really calm and certain going into it. And so I remember at that comp, one of the coaches saying to you, like all these Canadian, like you've got Canadian athletes here who are supporting you, who are cheering you on. And then they said, it's not going to be like that when you get to Worlds, just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was really different. I think the similarity between CrossFit and the Olympic weightlifting is your community.
Mhm.
You have your own personal team, which supports you and you train with every week. And then when you go to competitions at the provincial level, you're seeing a lot of the same people. And even when you go to nationals, for the most part, you're seeing a lot of the same people. So you develop this community around you, which is something I've always enjoyed about CrossFit, something that I enjoy about weightlifting. Um, I made a lot of good friends and a lot of good contacts and a lot of good connections that have lasted through the years. But it was really different at Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the difference, even at Worlds, like the energy of when you were warming up for those days, like when you're prepping the days before and then comp day, right? Like there was just this, yeah. Explain what that was like those few days before.
So we went to Worlds in Finland, in Rovaniemi, Finland in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's set up is you go there a few days before, trying to acclimatize yourself to the time difference and to the environment. You can go into the training center to work out on the days prior to your comp. So I would go in and you'd have people from all around the world training there, lifting and prepping. You'd have Belgium and obviously Norway and Finland and Ukraine and Japan. The US guys were there. At that point, there weren't a lot of Canadians yet, but it was really cool because I was in there lifting and I did not feel out of place. I felt like I was where I was supposed to be. I wasn't way behind anybody. I wasn't way ahead of anybody. I was right where I was supposed to be. So I really felt like I had found my spot, my place.
Mm-hmm. And then on actual, what do we call it? Comp day, game day, whatever, the day where you actually competed at Worlds, what was that experience like? Where did the nerves shift?
Well, going into the day, I did not sleep well. I had a really hard time with the time difference. It's a 7-hour time difference. So leading up to that day, my sleep wasn't good. I was really tired when I woke up, really groggy. We lifted first thing in the morning. So the way it works is you go in and you weigh in 2 hours before your sessions start. So I show up for weigh-in and I'm the only Canadian there. There's one other American there. So we were the only two that spoke English and didn't speak anybody else's language. But they all knew each other. Everybody else knew each other because they all compete in European competition. It's much like I compete in nationals.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all shaking hands and hugging and high-fiving and they're ready. And I was a low man out and they didn't know anything about me. They didn't know who I was, which was pretty cool. And we do the weigh-in. Then you go find something to eat. And then you start warming up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was different because you don't know anybody and you're the odd man out in the situation. So it was pretty cool. I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah. And it was definitely, you had I'm going to say a come from behind moment. Can I say that? Yeah. So say what happened in Finland?
Yeah. So during the warm up, the warm up platforms are right behind the stage, and my warm up's not going well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right in the middle of everybody else, so everybody can see you warming up. You can see everybody else warming up. They're hitting their numbers in warm up. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I missed my last warm up weight at 100 kilograms, and I was supposed to open at 102. And I went out and made 102.
Mm-hmm.
So I made my first one barely. It was tough. It was really tough. My technique was off. It wasn't a good lift. I wasn't feeling really good about myself at this point. I went out to the next weight at 105. I was supposed to be starting at 105. My second weight was 105 and I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, now I'm way behind. Everybody else had made 105 or more. So I knew I had to hit at least 105. So on my third attempt, I hit 105. It was a successful lift. And going into clean and jerk, I think I was 5 kilograms behind the leaders. Um, so I knew I had to have a good clean and jerk session in order to make it up. And my openers for clean and jerk were higher than most of their first lifts or second lifts. So everybody's waiting for me to go. And they were starting to get in their own heads.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of them, you could tell they missed a couple of their lifts. And I was just sitting in the chairs and like sitting right front and center. So they all knew I was waiting for them to play my own little head games with them. And I made my first and second clean and jerk, which put me into the medals. It put me on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
And then the leader hit his clean and jerk. So I knew I had to hit 141, I think, for my clean and jerk on my last attempt. And it was the first time I felt nervous. Right. It was,
Of course.
the nerves really hadn't kicked in yet before that because
Yeah.
there wasn't really much on the line yet.
Mm-hmm.
But now with Worlds, there's something on the line. I had the gold medal on the bar, and I ended up missing my clean and jerk. I missed the clean. I didn't even get to the second part of the lift. I missed my clean, gave a wave to the crowd, and picked up my silver medal. So that was still pretty cool to be, second best in the world at my age. At 50, I was 54 at the time. So that was pretty cool. That was still pretty cool to be second best in the world. And knowing that I had people back home watching at 2 a.m. in the morning, it was crazy.
It was really neat because your siblings were both up in the middle of the night, which I thought was so awesome, right? They were both watching it and we're texting back and forth. And I'm like, you guys are up? You're like, yeah, we're watching it. And it was just really neat to see. And you were so close, but to see it shift so that I know that there was times where you kind of got into their heads a little bit. And then from the crowd side, I could hear people like, who is this Canadian? Like, what is happening here? I don't know if you said it, but how young were some of them when they started competing?
Well, that's the thing, right? When you start talking with people, either the days leading into the competition down at the training facility or just walking around on the streets the days before, a lot of them in Europe started competing in the 80s, like when they were teenagers or younger. I didn't pick up a barbell for a clean and jerk till I was 42.
Yeah.
So this was relatively new. And I didn't even start focusing on weightlifting until I was 53.
Yeah.
So these guys had a few years on me, a few years experience. Just a few.
Just a few years experience. Okay. You're finishing second in Finland. You're having this experience. What goes through your head now? Like what you're like, okay, do you feel like, yep, head down, we're going to focus. I know where I want to go and what I want to do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed competing at the world level. And I felt like that's where I was meant to be. I felt like I was right at home. We were already talking about our travel schedule being based around my weightlifting. So I was already gearing up for nationals were in Calgary in 2025, and worlds were going to be in Vegas. I wasn't real crazy about traveling to Vegas with everything going on in the States at the time. But it's where the worlds were. So we were going to go. And then just planning the years out beyond that, in 2025. So big plans for 2025.
Yeah. And then 2025 comes. And 2025 was, yes, we're here talking about lifting. 2025 was not an easy year. It was just not an easy year, period. No.
And so provincials were in April. And about a couple months before that, I felt a little tweak in my elbow. But, you get hurt all the time. You get little tweaks and pains and aches. And, I've got a history of golfer's elbow. So I just brushed it off and thought that's what it was. It wasn't really impacting my lifting at all. I was hitting really good numbers going into provincials. Didn't think too much of it. I went to provincials. I had a good day. I snatched 110. I set a new Canadian record because I aged up. So I set the Canadian record for the 55 to 59 age group. I went and got my clean and jerks, my first 2 reps of my clean and jerks. And I set a Canadian record for clean and jerk at the age group, but I still had one attempt left. So I had 110 on the snatch, I wanted the total of 250, so I went for 140 on the clean and jerk, and that's where my elbow decided that 140 wasn't a good number.
Yeah, it decided it was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So from your vantage point to explain what happened in that last clean and jerk.
Yeah, it was 140 kilograms, which is about 310 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The clean went well. I felt it went well. I got set for the jerk. My jerk technique wasn't very good. And as the barbell got past my head, I heard the pop in my elbow, and the elbow shot out to the side, dropped the barbell, and immediately left the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew something serious was wrong.
Mm-hmm. And so everything happened pretty fast after that. Like well, okay, you did go back out and get your medal.
Yeah. So I went back in. I went back behind the curtains, behind the stage. My coach finally came and found me, and because I didn't want to go back in where everybody was swarming up, because it would be a total distraction for them, even if they knew what had happened. They didn't need to see that. So I kind of hid in a corner. Finally got to a point where I could get outside. I went outside for a little bit. And then I had to go back in and get my gear because they had to pull it all together. So I went back in. I was getting my gear together, and they called me out to get my medal. So I had my arm in a sling, and I went out and got my medal and went home. Well, I shouldn't say we went home. We got in the car. This happened in Burlington, Ontario, and we drove an hour back home, an hour and a half back home to St. Mary's Hospital in Kitchener, where that was on Good Friday, April 19th, 18th, 19th?
That was the 18th. Yeah.
18th. Yeah, April 18th. Went to St. Mary's Hospital. They looked at me, and they were going to contact a surgeon to see how quickly they can get me in. I had to go back in on Saturday for ultrasounds, and it was definitely a complete rupture.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no letting it heal on its own. I was scheduled for surgery on Easter Sunday. So it happened on Good Friday, surgery Easter Sunday.
Yeah, it was like less than 2 days, really, in time.
Yeah. So, the event, in all terms, the event was successful. I broke 3 Canadian records. I won best male lifter for the day. And I actually those numbers set me up for being the top lifter in Ontario for the year in the Masters group. So if you look at it from that standpoint, it was a successful event, but not so much for the body. It was going to be a long road to recovery for sure.
And for some of your first thoughts, like what was that like? Did you have thoughts that, okay, I'm done? Or did you have thoughts of, I don't know what this looks like? Like what was going through your head then?
I didn't really know what it was going to look like. I didn't really know what was going to happen, but you always hear stories of people coming back from torn biceps or ACLs or whatever. So I just assumed it was a big deal, but not a really big deal. I figured let it heal and rehab it and go to physio and start lifting again. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I thought. I never thought that I was done lifting.
It's good.
At that point.
Yeah, at that point. And then afterwards, just to give people a picture of like, I've said it on the podcast before, but you went from being, at a peak lifting, super strong, to then having to adjust to, struggle with like shower, getting dressed, socks, shoes, cutting food, couldn't drive. Yeah. Like just to paint that picture, that is quite the change.
Yeah. They had my arm in a cast to begin with where it was locked out straight. Mm-hmm. And then they put it into a brace where for 3.5 months, they gradually increased my range of mobility. So for the longest time, I couldn't bend my arm because they had to let the tricep heal because they had done a suture anchor where they pull the tricep tendon back down towards the elbow, and then the suture anchor takes post in the bone just on the other side of the elbow. So they had to let that set. They had to let that heal before they could give me range of motion. So I couldn't bend my arm, couldn't pull up my pants. I couldn't shower. The incision was still open, so I couldn't get it wet. I couldn't eat with my left arm. Couldn't do anything. I was just, whatever. I couldn't drive. I was stuck.
Yeah.
I slept on a lazy boy chair for 3.5 months because I was worried about rolling over.
Hmm.
So I slept in a lazy boy for 3.5 months.
Yeah. Which meant like a lot of times when you have an injury of that magnitude, then on top of it, like you have the other areas that are recovering, like the shoulder went through a lot of recovery.
Yeah, I basically slept in a shrug for 3.5 months because I would slide down in a chair, but my arm, because it was propped up, would stay stationary. So I slept like this for 3.5 months. And of course, because you're not using the arm, not only is there muscle atrophy in the tricep, but in the bicep, in the forearm, in your scap, in your serratus, in your lats, your delts, everywhere. Basically I think I lost my left arm, especially when you compare the pictures 1 year apart. It's a huge difference. So it impacted everything, just impacted everything.
You found a way. I don't remember what time that was. I was trying to look it up, but you did find a way. I think it was Katie. You had somebody who came and picked you up and
Yeah.
took you to the gym.
Yeah. So as soon as I could shower,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, now that I can shower, I can sweat.
Mm-hmm.
So because up until that point, I was going for like walks down the street for 2 minutes. There really wasn't anything I could do because I didn't want to get sweaty because then it'd be kind of gross, right?
Yeah.
And irritated and agitated and everything else. So as soon as I could shower, I had one of my team members, Katie, pick me up and take me to the gym. So I would do bike work keep in mind, I still had my brace on.
Yep.
I would do bike work with my brace on. I would do sled pulls. I would do farmer's carry because I could hold on to things. Um, I would do holds. I would do sit-ups. I would do whatever I could with that brace on that allowed me to move. I even practiced my footwork on the jerk so I could keep it fresh. I also did a lot of rehab work with bands.
Mm-hmm.
And crossover symmetry was one of my biggest tools that I used at the beginning. So whatever I could do, I did right away, as soon as possible.
Yeah. I don't know when that was, but I know it was fairly soon. And I think that helped because if not, like mental health could take a real hit during that time, right? Because all of a sudden your whole identity is shifting.
Well, yeah, and the surgeon told me I'd never lift again, or at least I wouldn't hit the numbers that I was. And I had to believe him in some sense because he's the only one that's seen it. So I believed him in some sense, but I also didn't. I always hear the stories of people making comebacks and being stronger than ever and proving people wrong. So I thought, well, why can't that be me? So I fully planned on lifting again throughout the whole session, regardless of what he said.
Yeah, I didn't have a doubt. And I'm so curious, like on this now, because being that you do the lifting that you do, what does think about before the injury, what did strong mean to you then? And what does it mean to you now?
Prior to the injury, strong meant moving as much weight as possible. I was always big on squats. I was always big on deadlift, never really big on bench press, but I loved playing with sandbags. I loved odd objects. I could throw around a lot of weight. Strong meant strength physically, but it also meant strength mentally, being mentally strong so that you can dial in the focus when you need to. You can dial in concentration when you're tired. Strength meant that you could go into that dark place if you needed to, into the pain cave when you needed to. Strength meant that even on days where you didn't feel like working out, you still worked out. I don't know if much has changed since the injury. I think it's probably more geared towards not so much about the weight that I'm moving, but because I know I can move the weight. I may not be as physically strong as I was yet, but I know it's coming. I think now strength is more about dialing in the mental part of the game. being focused and being able to concentrate on the lift and trying to work on the technique now more than anything else. I think that it's mentally strong versus physically strong. I think it's kind of shifted towards more mental.
Mm, I I completely agree. So as we take it to the road to world, started with the road to recovery, where was the point for you that you went, I think I'm going to compete again? Like, I think I'm ready. And where was, I know where it was, but if you can share that turning point moment for you of when did you decide to compete again?
Well, so when I got hurt, when I first had the surgery, a friend of mine reached out to me from Germany, who I had met in Finland, and he said that he had the same injury.
Mm-hmm.
He said it took him a year and a half to fully recover. So I thought, okay, a year and a half, that puts me roughly into September. So April of 2025 to September of 2026 is just short of a year and a half. So I thought there's a possibility, but the way that the rehab and the lifting was going, it didn't feel like it. In October of 2025, I started moving a barbell again and had a setback because I had ended up with a bone bruise on my elbow because it just wasn't strong enough to take a sharp movement, right? Because the jerk is an explosive movement. It was getting a little bit of a bounce back on the elbow joint. I ended up with a bone bruise. So that took me back until January. So I really didn't think that it was an option. Um, so January, I started lifting a barbell again, started being really smart about the weight, trying to be really smart about the technique, working with the coaches on programming. I did a lot of work with electroacupuncture, trying to get muscles to fire again. It's amazing how the body doesn't always fire muscles. The nervous system kind of takes hold and doesn't want you to do things. So you got to retrain your body to fire the serratus and to fire your scap and to fire your tricep. So I did a lot of work with electro acupuncture. I did a lot of work with just simple movements, simple bodybuilding stuff too, trying to rebuild muscle. And then I knew that if I wanted a chance, this was probably in March when registration opened up for provincials, or when it was going to open up for provincials. I knew that if I wanted a chance at Worlds, I had to, and it was still a really outside chance. If I wanted a chance for Worlds, I had to qualify. To qualify, I had to go to nationals. And to go to nationals, I had to qualify at provincials. So I had to do provincials if there was any chance of me going to Worlds. So I signed up for provincials. I had decided I was going to do provincials just to leave the door open, if nothing else. That was March was the turning point where there's a chance.
Yeah, there was a real big turning point in March. And you saw one of the doctors the trainers that you saw in Toronto, right?
Yeah. So I had looked at a couple different options. I had looked at PRP, which is platelet therapy.
Yep.
I can't remember what exactly it stands for. Talked to a Dr. Kings in Oakville, and he didn't recommend PRP. He specializes in PRP in athletes, and he didn't recommend it for me. He didn't think it would be beneficial. But he did put me in touch with Dr. Ken Kanakin in Mississauga, specializes in strength athletes, which was pretty cool. So I had some really good chats with him and a couple really good sessions with him. And he said, why not go for it? Maybe you're not going to hit the same numbers, but why not compete? So I did provincials, and everybody was surprised to see me, including myself, to be honest with you. So the singlet didn't fit quite as well as it did in Finland. I've enjoyed a few butter tarts since. But I decided to do provincials. And I ended up hitting just the numbers I needed for Worlds, actually. I actually qualified for Worlds at provincials. But I still needed to do nationals for myself more than anything else. Because if I couldn't hit higher numbers at nationals, there's no point of even thinking about World.
And so we go from provincials, then you go to nationals. And I mean, I saw how many people were surprised to see you there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was just it was interesting to see. And so then you go through nationals and tell us about what that experience was like.
Well, it was funny because when I first got injured, when I was trying to come back, everybody called it not everybody, but a few key people called it a catastrophic injury.
Right.
And to me, a catastrophic injury is a head injury, it's a spinal injury, it's something that
Yeah.
you're not coming back from, right? It's not just that you're not going to be able to play your sport again, but it's had a major impact on your life. To me, that's a catastrophic injury. A tricep injury is not catastrophic. I can live my life normally with an injured tricep. And for me, I got full range of motion on my arm. I can move it overhead. I can hold things. I can do everything I need to do on a day-to-day basis. So even at nationals, people were saying, that was a wicked injury, it's catastrophic injury. I said, no, it wasn't. So, nationals was a good experience for me, talking to a lot of people from BC and from Quebec and that I had met, and some that I'm just meeting for the first time that had been following me, which was weird too.
You had a couple. It's neat to see because that's your area. And so, people who are just like, oh my gosh, I started lifting. I've been following you for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird, but it was good. I met somebody through it, and he's a good guy. And I'm sure that if I have spent any time with him, we could probably get in trouble, but it was neat. So I competed and hit some really good numbers that surprised me a little bit. But it set me up to think, okay, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer to deciding to go to Worlds. I still wasn't 100% yet because the numbers that I hit at Nationals would not have been competitive at Worlds. And if I'm going to go to Worlds, I'm going to be competitive.
And I so appreciate that that's your way that you frame it. And at the same time, though, I do remember like the European nationals were happening at the same time, right? Yep. And then the US nationals were happening at the same time. So there was a whole lot of numbers up in the air. And I remember you saying there's no way my numbers won't be competitive. And then I still remember you telling me some of the numbers and I'm like, oh yeah, you're actually not too far.
I wasn't too far. Yeah, I wasn't too far off, but I was off.
Yeah.
And it's, trying to add the last 5 to 10 kilograms to your lift is like trying to lose the last 10 pounds. They're the hardest ones to add to your lift. So I wanted to make sure. So I'm seeing the numbers that were being hit at the Europeans, saw the numbers that were being hit at the US, knew where I had to be. I knew I had to register by a certain day with Canada. And then I knew I had to register by, I think it was July 18th, pay my fees for Worlds. So I knew I had roughly not even a month to decide. So I registered with Canada. I got the approval from Team Canada to compete as part of the team. And then I held off on registering for a little while. And we figured that, let's register. If I find that in August, I'm just not hitting the numbers that I need to hit, we're out $300. It's not, I don't like throwing $300 away, but it would be $300 and that would be it. So we get through it and we register and we pay the $300 and I keep training. And I knew that July and August were going to be really, really, really hard on me because I would really have to bear down and everything would have to be geared around lifting. Everything would have to be geared around rehabbing and everything would have to be geared around adding those last 5 to 10 kilograms to my lifts. So it's been tiring. It's been hard on the body. It's been hard on the mind. Been hard on work. It's been hard on family life, I would say. But it's going to be what's going to be required. I've got 4 weeks to go and it's going to be a hard 4 weeks.
And I just you don't have to say where you work, but just give an idea of your job because you don't have you have a very full job.
Yeah, I'm an operations manager. I've got, multiple branches reporting to me throughout Southwestern Ontario. I do a lot of traveling, a lot of big budgets that have to be hit. We're doing a lot of operational changes as well. So
No.
it's not an easy job, and I bring it home some nights. But what I do find is that, my boss is really good with work-life balance. He knows that at 4:30, don't call me.
Hmm.
5 o'clock, definitely don't call me because I will be at the gym. So, and he's completely understanding with that, which is cool. And being at the gym at 5:30 some nights till about 8 o'clock,
Hmm.
5:30 till 8 o'clock at night, does allow me to shut down work, and I focus on my lifting and focus on mobility and everything else that goes along with the lifting. So
Hmm.
it's good.
No, I wanted to set that up too, just because it's like, it's a lot of different things to juggle, right?
Yeah.
Is managing all of it. There is like, I think there's so many reps that people don't see. Like they don't see it, right? I mean, you know this. We get to share
Yep.
life on social media. We get to share it out there. And sometimes people see the wins, but they don't see how many reps are behind it.
Yeah. Like when I first got back into the gym, I was working out more than any other member on the team. Like might have been one or two
During your
people in the
injury and
gym.
rehab.
Yeah. There may have been one or two other people at the gym more than me, but I'm not sure they worked harder than me
Mhm.
to come back during that time. And then, even at home, I'm doing mobility work, and I'm trying to go for walks, all the good stuff, right? And even at night after the class is done and gone, I'm still at the gym doing bodybuilding stuff, trying to make myself stronger to complement the lifting. I do a lot of mobility work on the side um, after the gym, after the workouts. I do see an osteo. Marsha Jaworski has probably been my biggest secret weapon for the last 10 years, I think,
Yeah, I
probably
think so.
close to 10 years.
Yeah.
She's fantastic, and she keeps my body ticking. She also keeps me on track mentally too. She's been really, really good for me.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a lot that goes on that a lot of people don't see, and the meal prep that goes into it. Uh, Trying not to eat butter tarts, which is not always easy for me. Um,
I don't bring them home. I don't bring them
Yeah,
home.
you don't bring them home.
No.
If you bring them home, they're gone. But yeah, there's always a lot of work behind the scenes that, if I want to get to where I want to be, the hour and a half class just isn't going to cut it.
No. No. Okay, so we've got the decision. We are
Yep.
registered. We're going. We actually put together a GoFundMe. And that's always, it kind of feels weird at first, but it's like, we weren't attached to whatever happened because this was not in the plan, right? Greece was not
Yep.
in the plan at all. And people were incredibly supportive. Like
Yeah.
we have definitely received some support for it.
Yeah. This is a last minute decision. Um, Up until the end of July, early August, I didn't have an Airbnb booked. We just booked my flights a
Yeah,
little while ago. You're not coming with me.
I know.
So this is not a vacation. Like there's no extended trip after like we did with Finland.
No.
I'm basically flying in 2 or 3 days before my competition and flying out 2 days after. So this is going to be a quick trip. Last minute, there's a lot of costs that go into this. You do have your training. That's not cheap.
No.
With this, you've got the entry fee for the comp. You have your membership fees. You have your flights to Greece, the Airbnb. You have all the food that's over there. Um, yeah, so there's not going to be. This is not a vacation. This is a
No.
comp. So we have had a lot of people help out and step up, and friends and family members, and some people we haven't heard from in a long time, stepping up and supporting it. So I really, really do appreciate it. And as I did the last time when I did a fundraiser for Finland, I will be donating a portion of that to the Alzheimer's Society and a memory of my mom who passed away in 2025 from Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's yeah, it all goes to heart. So really do appreciate it.
It does. I think she'd be really proud right now. Like, I think she would be there. She would love
Yeah.
it. She would love this. Um, okay. The going and us coming to the decision that we're not going together. Like, I am in the middle of building something that right now that is part of what we're setting up for all of us and what we're creating. What was that like? Because I think this is I mean, no matter what, it's our decision and it's what we do. But it's been an interesting thing where I've had some people just stop in full on judgment of like, I cannot believe that you're doing this. I cannot believe you're not going. And I'm like, okay, didn't ask for your opinion. Not that we have not been here before.
Yeah.
We've been here before lots of times. But I'm curious what that experience was like too. Like, any thoughts you want to share on that?
Well, a lot of people think I'm crazy for lifting weights even before I got hurt. So I typically don't take to heart what too many people think is worthy of their opinion. When we made the decision to do this, there's a bunch of stuff that went into it. I knew you weren't going to be able to go. This was not supposed to happen.
Mm-mm.
In April of 2025, this was not supposed to happen.
No.
In April of 2026, this was not supposed to happen. So we move on with life, right? This is all part of life. This is not solely about weightlifting. We have a lot going on. And you've got the course that you got to do. It's got to be done at this time, right? There's no ends, ifs, or buts about it. It's got to get finished, and it's hard to go without you. I'll be by myself. There'll be other Canadians there, but it's not the same.
No.
So I will have some support there, but it's going to be really different. But I also knew part of the decision was that Worlds next year in 2027 are in Japan in May, which is a quick turnaround. And to be quite honest, I'm not interested in doing Worlds in May in Japan. Barcelona is 2028 in July. Kind of up in the air about that one. The next big one that I really want to do is Norway in 2029, and I want to make a trip out of that one. So I knew this was a chance that I wanted to take for Worlds again to compete at that level. This is where the Olympics started, right? This is Athens. This is huge, and just that alone. And then there's over 1,600 participants going. So there might be
masters athletes, like
masters athletes, 1,600 athletes are going to be moving weight for like a week and a half. That's pretty cool. And we're talking anywhere from 35 years up to 85, 90 years old, right? So,
yeah,
there's a little bit of fear of missing out on this too. I want to be a part of this. I know I can be competitive. I know I've got a chance to be on the podium. And I know I've got the support of people back home. So,
yeah. It was impossible, in my opinion. It was like a no-brainer that somehow this was happening. Like, you had set yourself up that to be there in Greece to like compete there. I mean, it was going to happen. It was just like, we're going to figure this out because it was such a great opportunity. And you've put your head down since that decision, right? It has been very focused training.
Yeah. And I've got 4 weeks where I've got some headway to make still, and I've got some technique stuff I've got to tweak out. Since my injury, I've had to change a couple of things, a couple of ways I do things. So it's still kind of working out some kinks, but I feel really good going into the next 4 weeks.
Awesome. That's awesome. So when you announced that you were going, you said something in your post, which I appreciate, but I laugh about, is that the piece that thanking me for helping you to work like extra hard to be mentally on track. And maybe there's a joke in there, maybe there's not. Was it?
There it is.
Nice. Were there times you had to borrow my belief that you didn't have it, or what was that experience like?
I don't know. You have setbacks all the time, right? One night the workout's not going to go well, or you might tweak your elbow. Something didn't feel right, or I'm not making the progression that I want to make. And some nights those are tough. and you come back and you may not be in the best mood, or you go into a workout and you're tired, and it's just not going to be a good night. When you're healthy, you can get away with a few of those. When you're not and you're trying to come back, those nights are really tough to handle, and you've got to be able to find a way to get past them, either during the workout or after. You kind of shelf it and move on.
Okay. What do you think this time and this chapter has taught you and has taught us? It's late, isn't it? And I'm like, I didn't share my questions with him ahead of time, and I said this was going to be organic. So there we go.
So I think what it's taught me is that I can do it. I think I still got a long ways to go, and I think after Worlds, I'm going to have to evaluate where I'm at and where I want to go. But I think that for right now, it's taught me that it's okay not to be able to hit the numbers you want to hit. You got to go through the process to get there, and that there is a process to get there. I think for us, it was a tough time. I couldn't shower myself. I couldn't clean myself. I couldn't cut my own food. There's a lot of things I couldn't do for myself. Yeah. So, it was a tough go at the beginning. And right now I'm probably being pretty selfish with my time. And I do know that it's impacting other things. But it's either this or I stay home. So I think you know how important it is to me. And I think you know that I don't take it lightly, and I'm not taking it lightly, and I'm taking it seriously, and I'm putting in the work, and I'm putting in the time and the effort. And I'm not eating butter tarts right now, which is good.
Not yet.
So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, I know it does, because I think that I just want to share it from this lens, like your commitment to it. Yes, it has impacted some things and time, just because of time is time. We only have a limited time. Yet at the same time, I would rather see this be something that you are taking very seriously, and you do. There's no question. So I mean, I support it. I've never been the wife who's like, no to that. I just think it's awesome. I like seeing you do something that you love doing. So do you know what the date is today that we're recording this?
August 16th. So it's 4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks today from when I fly out.
Yeah.
So I fly out September 16th. I arrive in Athens on the 17th, and I compete on the 19th.
And you compete at 2 p.m. in Greece time, right?
Yeah, 2:45, which is 7:45.
It's perfect for me.
Yeah, this time.
That's absolutely perfect. It's not 2 a.m. That's not 2 a.m. That's awesome. So anything you want anyone to know who's listening, or anything else that you want to share that I didn't cover?
I think for me, the neat thing about all this is I'm 56 years old. I didn't start lifting weight until I was 42. I didn't start focusing on this until I was 53. So it's not too late to start. We've got a lot of young guys, young kids, men and women on our team. There's some really strong women on the team, and we all have fun. So if you're trying to figure out what to do to be healthy, just find something that you enjoy doing. Doesn't matter how old you are. And if you're older and you can move some heavy weight, look me up and we'll have some fun. Have weights, we'll travel. So that's all.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I actually have to ask you the last signature question that I ask everyone, and chances are really good you have no idea what that question is. You're not going to offend me. Yeah, people are like, does Brad listen to it? I'm like, I don't think so. So the last question I ask everyone is, what lesson in life are you most grateful for?
So I think the biggest thing I've learned through this, through work, through whatever, is you can only control what you can control. So I couldn't control the injury. I couldn't control the fact that it happened. I couldn't control the fact that I was in a brace for 3.5 months and couldn't do what I wanted to do, but I could control how I reacted and responded and how I come back from it. So if through the training I realized that, you know what, this is going to take a lot longer, it takes a lot longer. I can't control that, but I can control how I respond to it. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned, not just through this, but through a lot of things in life that life is thrown at us. So that's the biggest lesson.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you for sharing, seriously. And I'm so proud of you. I am so proud that you were open-minded enough to actually do this when I said, for those of you that don't know, when Brad's grandma was alive, she gave him a mug that said, Brad means open-minded. And I just think that's really funny if you know him. So here he is. He's very open-minded on the show.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.